Hey running regulars, it's Ed, EDDBUD here. Today comparing the latest shoe in for testing, the HOKA RINCON 3 up against the rest. Part 1. Thanks for tuning in guys, it's always appreciated. If you haven't done so already, help the channel out by hitting that subscribe button, but also clicking the bell below for notifications when we launch those new videos for you. And you can help get us to the toppermost of the poppermost if you give this video a thumbs up like. Dankeschön. First comparison today is up against the Beacon 3 from New Balance. I really enjoyed the original version of the Beacon, but they kind of fouled it up a little bit in the Beacon 3, mainly with the upper. I didn't like that heel at all. I've tried to get out again in it a few times, but the heel just leaves me puzzled. Get lots of debris and stuff being collected up by that flare in the heel. The weird sort of detached section there and flawed modifications really made for a step backwards really in this model. Did nothing really for the comfort of the shoe either. I just found the first version almost sock-like, I suppose. The same can't really be said against the RINCON 3, which is a lesson in simple construction and design, minus the odd additions and unnecessary elements. As such, the only thing that's vaguely similar about these two shoes is really the midsole underfoot feel. A touch more compression in the RINCON 3 over the Beacon 3, but a more rebound-like feel from the Fresh Foam in the New Balance shoe. I think it's Fresh Foam or Fresh Foam X or whatever they want to call it. We've already been there. We've been there, we've covered that. The upper here stopped me getting too many miles into the Beacon 3, which is a bit of a shame really. I will try and take it up to 50 miles to give you a bit of a longer term review at some point. Perfectly serviceable for shorter sorties at high pace. Light shoe, but not one I'd perhaps want to take out on a longer run. I think the additional outsole grip, the forgiving foam, and that decreased weight mean that I think if I could only choose one shoe out of these, it will probably be the RINCON 3. I think those people that are really worried about the early wear on the RINCON 3 should definitely avoid the Beacon 3 as well. I'm seeing similar problems here on the Beacon 3. It's just wearing down really quick in that exposed midsole material. One shoe we have to consider in an out-and-out comparison against the RINCON 3 is the Puma LIBERATE NITRO. I don't see many people with bad things to say about this shoe, and I'm one of them. I hit 50 miles in this one recently, and there are a few similarities between this and the RINCON 3. Yes, quite a bit more foam in the midsole of the HOKA shoe, but I would suggest that the Puma feels quite a bit more cushioned underfoot, despite the fact that there's actually a lower stack. A lower heel to toe drop in the RINCON 3, and a more aggressive drop here in the Puma LIBERATE NITRO. I think you also get slightly more energy return from the Nitro foam in this Puma shoe, certainly when you start to hit some faster paces. The Puma clearly is more balanced towards as light as possible upper, with the majority of the weight here being in the midsole and outsole, and quite a bit more rubber coverage here as well on the bottom of the LIBERATE NITRO. Roughly the same heel stack in the two shoes, but the more aggressive drop in the Puma makes this one perhaps a candidate for racing as well, over shorter distances, perhaps even up to the half marathon. Not sure that the RINCON really feels like a race shoe to me, certainly a more daily trainer type vibe coming at me. Not to say it's a bad shoe, just a light and airy everyday option. Very forgiving. But yeah, I think if I had to have one, I'd probably opt for the Puma LIBERATE NITRO. Just covers more bases, I think. And this one comes in a little bit cheaper as well. I've seen some wild deals recently, people picking these up for next to nothing really. So if you're aiming to do some shorter distance racing, I'd probably opt for the LIBERATE NITRO. If you're just chasing squirrels around the local park and enjoying yourself, RINCON 3 will do it. I think if you want a bit more cushion underfoot as well, this is probably the shoe for you. Not sure there's quite enough in the LIBERATE NITRO for everybody. Certainly if you're a more heavier set runner. How does the RINCON 3 stack up against the Rebel 2? We're certainly close in terms of midsole stack, weight, and also that heel to toe drop, but a very different underfoot feel here in the New Balance shoe. There's an even simpler upper fit to the Rebel 2 and a much more compressive foam that delivers far more energy return on your investment than perhaps the EVA that we have here in the RINCON 3. I found the upper on the RINCON 3 much more true to size than the Rebel 2. Does fit a bit snug, though both are just as airy and fancy free. Actually, I would state that both of these shoes, uppers, are perfect if you're running in much warmer conditions. If you've got a warm climate, then they could do a great job for you. You know, those type of conditions where even your short shorts aren't quite enough. You know what I mean. Again, I view the Rebel 2 as a more high tempo or race offering compared to the Rincon 3. Horses for courses though, and many will find the Rebel 2 a little bit too over compressive, I suppose, for daily use. For me though, both shoes offer a nice light and nimble underfoot feel. Very forgiving, but perhaps a little more support in the Rincon 3. I think it's probably from that foam that cups around the foot in the heel area. You haven't really got that in the Rebel 2, and I think because of that, some people will struggle with this shoe. Gotta be honest, I'm quite impressed with the durability of the Rebel 2 so far. The outsole rubber's holding up very, very well. Little outsole wear at all at this point. In fact, I prefer the outsole on here compared to the RC Elite 2. If I could have only one though, it would have to be the Rebel 2. Again, just a more versatile shoe for my use. I think the race chops just increase the value of this shoe a little bit more to me. Otherwise, the Rincon is a much cheaper, daily, mile-munching alternative. You know, on these shoe versus the rest videos, I always have a wild card entry, and here it is. My favourite shoe of all time, the Invincible Run. God, my arm's just falling like that, it's so heavy. A much more expensive shoe at retail than the Rincon 3. Comes in at £60 more expensive. That's a lot of cash. You could buy half a Rincon 3 for that. Gallons of stack and Nike's ZOOMX flagship foam. So about 8mm more heel stack here in the Invincible Run compared to the Rincon 3, and it's very, very prominent when you put the shoe on. I think the more aggressive drop is very noticeable on foot as well. I only wish the Invincible Run had a more refined upper like we see on the Rincon 3. It's just simple and it does what it says on the tin. And that's what you want from an upper, not the overly padded mess that is Nike's shoe. I know some people love this one, but I just really don't see any worth in it at all. Do you know, the outer coating on this thing really does remind me of the Vomero 16. A couple of times I've stopped myself now from grabbing the saw and just chopping it in half to see what's actually in here. Is it really all ZOOMX? I'm really enjoying this as a value shoe. You know, just over £100 gets you something that's quite fun to run in. I think I'll get a bunch of cushioned miles out of the Rincon 3 for a reasonable price. And it's just quite fun to run in it as well. I keep putting it on and thinking, yeah, let's get out there. Even though I'm a bit tired, it's just so light. I appreciate that that was the general intention of this shoe, but it's so heavy that it doesn't ever make me feel like that. I think it's about 120 grams heavier than the Rincon 3. So it's like over half a Rincon 3 again. I've seen huge discounts on the Invincible Run recently, which bring it down in price level with the Rincon 3. I'd still go for the HOKA shoe though at that price. Just a more comfortable shoe than Nike's failed experiment here. I mean, if you wanted to, you could race a 5 or 10k in the Rincon, no problem, it's that light. I just wouldn't want to do the same in this one. As such, if I could only have one of these two shoes, it would have to be the HOKA only Rincon 3 on this occasion. What do you make of my comparisons today, guys? I'm just really enjoying this one due to the fact there's no big gimmick about it. Soft and light, and it just feels nice and nimble. But there's still some cushion there and some squash. And it's not costing the earth either. If you want me to compare the Rincon against any of the other shoes in my current ridiculous rotation, please let me know down in the comments. A quick musical interlude for you. Recently, while I've been out running, I've been tending to listen to quite aggressive music at quite a loud volume. I've been testing out all these headphones recently. I wanted to really put them through their paces. One album that I dug out to test out on the headphones is Weld by Neil Young and Crazy Horse. I believe there was an additional disc that you could get to this, or maybe like a second album that was called Arc Weld, that was just full of feedback segments. I need to try and get hold of that. Pretty much every one of the Neil Young and Crazy Horse tracks that are on Weld are better versions on here than they are on the original albums. I really love the very simple, feedback-driven Blowing in the Wind. That was wonderful. Really is quite poignant. Mansion on the Hill's always been my particular favourite from Neil Young. As I was walking back to one house I used to live in, which was on a hill, I used to hum that to myself. Rockin' in the Free World and Like a Hurricane though on disc 2 are absolute winners. Neil's really on form on those. The screaming Les Paul feedback solos there are really quite wonderful. And the band produce a really good backing, very solid, and some good backing vocals as well from Crazy Horse. It's big, it's loud, and it's noisy, and very enjoyable if you're going on a harder, faster, high-paced run. Go and check it out, Neil Young Crazy Horse, Weld. Thanks for sticking with me to the very end, guys, it's always appreciated. Help the channel out by picking up some merchandise from the links below, and also make sure you hit the subscribe button and click the bell for notifications when we roll those new videos out for you. It helps the channel out a huge amount if you give this video a thumbs up like, and also share the video with your running buddies. My name's EDDBUD, and I'll be seeing you